everybody, it's Ruby here today, and today is another video in which I attempt to do either sewing or crafting in some sort of retro-inspired style, but mostly I just like to film and showcase all of the ADHD projects that I am a part of and that I'm working towards here. So in this case, I'm actually kind of working backwards. So when I first started sewing, first realized I even could have this skill, I scoured the internet for interesting fabrics that I liked because I discovered that there is fabric outside of the world of the quilting cotton and Baltic cotton that I would see in the 90s in fabric stores when I would go shopping there with my mom. And I'm sure back then even there were nice fabrics, but I didn't really have the style as a 6-year-old as I do now. So I had a bit of a frenzy and bought some fabric that I thought that I would do something with. I thought that I would build outfits around these. And my general preference with Halloween is usually more of the spoopy, cute, pastel Halloween that I find to be kind of funny, where it leans away from the spooky, creepy, normal Halloween that you usually see and lends more to just the sort of clip art aspect of it, which is what you see with the fabric that I have here. So the fabric that I have to work with is this teal potion fabric. I believe was custom done. It's Potions by Milkshakes and Sunshine Fabrics. And this was definitely an impulse buy. It has the color theme that I really enjoy for Halloween, which is a teal, which you usually don't see for Halloween, with an orange and black and white that you usually do. And then I also have fabric that I had to scour the internet for because it is actually a fabric that you see, I think, at Joann's, but I don't live in America, so I don't have a Joann's, and it is a boo fabric. A Ghosties boo fabric, and so this is really cute. So what I'm thinking that I'll do is 2 different garments. Now both of these are going to be by Charm Patterns. I really like the way that the darts are situated on bodices in the Charm Patterns and the way that they look on me, so I'm going to go with that this time. And I'm going to do the Stanwyck dress. There is a Stanwyck Halloween dress that you can make, which I think is like a thick fabric, like a wool that you can make with this pattern, and then it has like spiderweb design that they show you how to do, but I'm actually just going to use that pattern specifically for this. And then I'm also just going to use the bodice from that pattern to create a top. Now, I'm having a little bit of trouble determining which is going to be which, but I have a lot of kind of blush pink tops. So I think creating another one is going to just feel a little bit redundant for me. So I think I'm going to make the teal into a top and then make the dress the pink ghosties. I'm a bit worried that the pink is going to be a similar color to my skin tone, and it's just going to look like I'm a floating head of ghosties, which might not be super appropriate to wear on campus, but I'm going to try anyways. So that is my plan for this video, and I will check back in when I'm further along. All right, so this is all of the pieces. So the pink pattern is both the skirt and the shirt, and the teal is just the shirt, and that has the collar right here. So I've cut everything out, I've put the interfacing on, and now I'm gonna do the darts, and I'm gonna iron those in and start from that. I didn't realize that because each piece has a lining, and because I'm doing the shirt twice, I'm actually doing the shirt basically 4 times, which is going to be a pain in the butt. So I'm going to try and create as much of an assembly line as possible for this. So I'll see how it goes. All right, so I've done 32 darts for the bodice and the dress, and I have sewn the darts for the bodice. I've decided to do that first because then I can at least get the shirt done if the rest isn't done by Halloween. And then, right, so I've sewn up the darts for this bodice, and I am about to sew the shoulders together and go from there. I haven't tried it on yet to make sure that the darts were done correctly, but I'm confident that it'll be fine. So I finished the same things with the armhole. I sewed up the armhole and then I understitched. And I'm quite proud of myself. It is a pretty simple step, but I screwed it up. Last time I did a similar top for the summer, and I was actually able to understitch all the way from the side to the other side around the sleeve, even though like there's not a lot of like shoulder space to be able to spread the lining underneath the sewing machine. So skills, obviously. So yeah. So I finished that part. Now I'm on to attaching the sides, and these will be attached, like the linings will be attached separately from the outer shell. Next I'm going to do is attach the lining to itself and the outer shell to itself. So it's basically one long line to finish off the side seams. And then the hem is going to be open. So this is a pattern that is usually used to attach to a skirt. This is just like a bodice rather than a top. But I'm going to just finish off the hem as well and hope for the best. It is going to be a pretty short top, but it's going to be something that I'm going to keep as a separate and tuck into things. So it'll basically kind of be like the top of a dress without having like the matching fabric for the bottom. So the main portion of the bodice is done. It doesn't include the zipper, which I actually like didn't sew up the hem all the way to the very end because I knew they would have to be folded over for the zipper anyways. And then so now I'm just going to do the collar, which hurts my brain a little bit in terms of the instructions. So I'm going to have to figure that out and attach that. I watched the instructional video and I understand what I'm doing now. So I attached these pieces. This doesn't have interfacing on it. This does. And I have already sewn up these pieces, which are the collar pieces that you see. And this essentially is like an interfacing piece that is going to go underneath the shirt in order to like be able to detach it. I'm going to have to sew this onto this, sandwich it onto that, and then attach it to the shirt. Like I'm in the Blair Witch Project. Mostly I'm just complaining about the amount of interfacing that's on this stage of the project. So I've done as much as I could of the teal shirt, and now I'm on to the dress. And I didn't realize that there was more interfacing than what I had done. So, oh my goodness. Pockets. So I've done the pockets, which are very satisfying. I love doing these kind of pockets. So you can see how this is starting to take shape in the front. And the pocket bags in the back wasn't too bad. So these are like pocket stays and then the actual pocket bag here. So that's the front. And then I'm doing the back pleat, which I'm finding terrifying. So I sewed up the back here and then base stitched this little tab panel thing, which is going to be then ironed flat. So I'm really terrified that I'm not going to be able to do this as precisely as I want, but we'll see. Ooh, this pleat is so satisfying. I just did the lining of it too, and I think I need to finish these seams. I think I forgot to finish these, so I might see if I can do this quickly, and then I'm just going to attach the front and back portions of this skirt, which is the moment of truth, because I didn't do a muslin for this. So I have no idea if it'll fit. So I just wanted to try it on before doing the side seams. And this is the funny part that comes in with me having to sew my own clothes, which is that I have a pretty extreme difference between my waist and my hip. It's just like, doesn't seem to ever be taken into account with patterns. So I'm basically just going to do up the side seams as though like just matching to my body. I know I probably should be doing more like darts and stuff instead, but I'm lazy and there's already a bunch of darts on this. So if I see more gapping, I will change it. But for now, I think I'm just gonna go with that. So what that means is that basically my hip and thigh, I've already started this, but it's not gonna be like 5/8, which is the usual seam allowance. It's gonna be more like 2 or 3/8. So to account for that difference, which I think is fine. And then it should go up to here. Okay. It'd be really great if I had another person here. Be a zipper there in the back. So is that gonna add space? Probably a little bit, but I think it overlaps. I think as long as the two pieces in the back match up, it's okay. I imagine the zipper will have enough space. So I finished the skirt for now, and I'm moving on to the bodice, which is gonna be the same as the teal bodice. But I'm going to attach it to the skirt, obviously. And I wanted to have a lower back, so I've actually taken a shirt that I had, just like a simple basic shirt that has a low back, and I measured approximately where that back line is, just off by like 5/8, because I know that that's going to be the seam allowance, and I'm going to see if that works. This was an approximation because this is like a stretch material, so it's like not a one-to-one match, and like the shoulders are different and stuff, but I just needed a basic shape anyways, I think. Hopefully not famous last words. So I'm actually quite proud of figuring out this next step. So I had said in the beginning that I had wanted to keep the belt for this dress to help with like delineating the waist for it. But the difficulty with the belt is that the belt is supposed to catch the ends of the skirt. So it like folds over to sandwich in the fabric material, like the ends of the fabric, so that it doesn't fray. But because this is a dress where the shirt and the skirt are attached, you're not enclosing it into this bit anymore. You're enclosing the bottom bit to this and then these two things together. So I'd originally like taken the lining and this and sandwiched everything together and sewn it all together, and then realized that all of the fray bits were going to be on the outside. I thought that you wouldn't be able to tell that I haven't brushed my hair, but you can definitely tell. So I'm just trying to get this finished. Finished the hem, which I actually did with hem tape. I've never used that before because I'm not really sure why. I think mostly because I've usually encased it like a double fold for the hem, and it's usually been a little bit like floatier sort of skirts, so I didn't want to do anything that seemed too starched, like too thick. So this time around I did, because it doesn't matter as much. It's supposed to look a little stiff and it has a lining, so it didn't matter. So I used hem tape. Now it is like quite literally done. The only things I need to do are like the little bits now. So I have a kind of frustrating overlap in the back that's going to look really bad, but just had to happen. So I'm going to put little snaps there. And then I've also discovered that the darts, especially like these darts right here, that go up to the boob. I don't think that I finished the dart to where it naturally kind of folds over, so it looks a little bit like I have a nipple just hanging out when I don't. The debrief. What I liked and what I didn't like about both of these. So for this bodice, what I really liked is the usual things I sort of talk about for charm patterns, which is that I think they do a really good job of creating a good, nice slope, especially on my body. And so I can usually guarantee that there's going to be a nice sort of fit around the waist and the bust. And I didn't really have to change anything to create this bodice. I think that it looks pretty nice. I think generally the finish is okay, and it does the job, essentially. It can be barely tucked in to something that's high-waisted, which is basically what I was going for. So it's just nice. It's just a basic sort of top, and there you have it. I paired it with pants that I also made around the same time, using the same pattern company, Charm Patterns. This is something that I was making months ago and didn't film, so I didn't include this in this video, but it does match pretty well because, again, same company, so like the waistline and everything happens around the same area. And I'm pleasantly surprised by these pants. I won't get into too much detail about those, but yeah, I think that they go well together. Now, the issue with this top is one of many things, all of which were based off of the way that I had tried to reconstruct it as a bodice rather than, or top or whatever, than as a dress, which is that I didn't realize how short it would be. So I'm slightly taller than average. I'm 5'7", and while I do find Charm Patterns fits me kind of around where it should, I had forgotten that, like, even if I add a little bit of extra, it's usually not quite enough for what I need because I'm just slightly longer in the body and slightly longer in the legs than the average person. So didn't really account for that. The other thing is that the instructions basically are adding this bodice to an already formed skirt. And so there isn't like a separate sort of instruction manual for it. And so I haphazarded a couple of things. I added the zipper in using a very similar method, but it of course didn't. So there's a bit of a gap at the top of the neckline for where the zipper should have ended and didn't. Or there's a bit of a keyhole gap of where the zipper should have like ended, where it should end further up the bodice than it does. But that's just my mistake. The other thing that I made the mistake of doing is that the zipper closes in the back. And because of that, and because of the fact that there isn't much ease in this top, it's very difficult for me to get on and off because it does not go over the boobies very well. So I actually have to squish the bodice down in order for it to fit properly. So that's another thing. Lastly, this collar is a detachable collar for the pattern. It's fine on its own. I do really like the fact that this is added as an additional piece that you can customize yourself, but I absolutely hate making buttonholes. Even though I have an automatic buttonhole setting on my sewing machine, I always forget how to properly use it. I use more zippers than buttons, so there's a lot of buttons that are required for you to properly place this collar in place, and right now it's actually just sneakily tucked in there. So I still need to do the buttonholes for that collar, and we'll see if I get that done before next Halloween. So the dress, I just changed out of everything, so obviously I'm just a mess. There's less of an issue with the dress because I did less modifications with the dress. So I followed the instructions as best I could, and the result was pretty decent. So I feel really good in it. I had done a couple of modifications of the skirt, which you saw, and that has resulted in feeling like it is very form-fitting to my body. It feels really nice, like I feel like it looks good, and it gives a good general impression as just a nice pencil skirt or pencil dress, wiggle dress, whatever. So I really like that. I think it conforms to the body pretty nicely. I also had a heck of a time trying to explain this, but I had kept the waistband of the skirt and kept it for the dress, which I feel like helps create a little bit more of an illusion of it being tucked in at the waist, and I figured out how to do that, and because of that I'm just very chuffed that it worked out for my best interest. I think that the pleat in the back looks good, and you know, I've gotten compliments on it as well. I also wore this to a lab and someone noticed and complimented me on it, so that was nice. So, you know, I think it does, again, it does its job. It's something that I feel like a sort of sexy Ms. Frizzle would wear, and that is basically the aim of this dress altogether. The things that I didn't like partially had to do with the fact that I didn't do a muslin. So while I took in the sides of the dress to fit my waist and thighs and hips, I didn't take in the back and didn't even look at the back while I was measuring it until I took pictures of my back. And while my back is really none of my business, if I wanted to create a truly form-fitting dress, I should have accounted for the fact that I'm also curvy in the back. So there's a bit of wrinkling that's happening, and for anybody who knows sewing would know that that should not be there. So that was very irksome once I realized. So I basically just need to write on the pattern to myself that the next time I make this, I need to account for that, for removing some of that space there. I also find that because it's really form-fitting and because of the way that it's just designed in general, like I don't think that it was because of me, that it's difficult to walk in because the fabric isn't very stretchy, which is not necessarily recommended in the pattern anyways, and also the pleat still doesn't account for a lot of space when you walk. So it is difficult to walk in. Not so difficult, but it's difficult to like go from standing to sitting and back again. The pleat also doesn't stay pleated, and I get that that's the nature of pleats, but with this kick pleat, once you do sit down, it kind of ruffles out of the pleat. So I'm thinking of maybe sewing up the pleat and seeing if I can try and get it to stay a bit more, but it might be worth like interfacing it or, you know, kind of trying to starch it a bit and see if that helps. I also added a bit of a dip to the back just to kind of lower the neckline a bit, but it actually stretched out the neck as a result because I am not great at fixing bodices, obviously. So that is leaving a little bit of gapping in the neckline as well. But I don't think that's super noticeable. In general, I really like it. I think that I'm actually going to make other versions in different colors, and I especially want to make just a plain pencil skirt in the future with this pattern because I feel amazing in it. So that is it for my Halloween outfits. By the time I have finished filming this and uploading it and everything, it's going to be late. I did get a chance to wear this stuff before Halloween, but I didn't get a chance to finish everything relating to it until after. And so hopefully those who come across it will come across it for some future selves, if they want to do Halloween next year or a few years after. I still wanted to post this to just show my sewing journey, and hopefully this is just an interesting video for you to watch in the meantime. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Yeah, see?